Assalamu alaikum, hello, and welcome to another episode of Legal Innovation and Technology webinar series. This is webinar 17 and a very special one on that. It's called Bangladesh 2.0, where tech, law, and the youth in this age of disinformation, narrative attacks, and this current unrest. We are going to talk about how technology, the legal regulations, and the youth who are actually using these technologies the most can, become a victim of disinformation, of these narrative attacks that's happening. And of course, nonetheless, we can see that the nation is going through some drastic changes, and under these circumstances, unity is key. The students, the country's youth, deserve a lot of praise for their efforts and sacrifices, and for showing us, actually, the general public, that to unite for a greater cause is actually right now more than ever. And but the fact remains that technology is the cornerstone for Bangladesh 2.0, whether it's for driving the economic growth, the social change, and evening the political discourse. But it has come with the new challenges, and that is what we are going to address in this webinar. We are going to talk about the digital landscape that we envision in 2.0 and the role of technology that it will play in this current socio-political dynamics. We will try to understand the consequences of having this disinformation ecosystem in Bangladesh 2.0, and how these key players, act, and the tactics that they use that has a huge impact in this society. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Barrister Dasmul Bashali. I'm an advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, and in this profession for over 18 years. I'm very passionate about law, technology, and business, and I really do advocate for a technology-driven solution in the legal service, and I'm dedicated to closing the justice gap using tech. And with me, I have none other than Tarazi Sheikh, who is a final year law student from BRAC University. Tarazi wears actually multiple hats, locally and internationally. She serves as the student director of the International Law Students Association. She is a senior editor for the content at the Jurist Legal News and Research. She's a coordinator at the International Association of Women Judges, and she has keen interest in public international law and human rights. Her research works have been published in several local and international journals and platforms, and she has made a long-lasting impact in the future of international legal education in South Asia and globally. So I want to welcome Tarazi, and thank you, Tarazi, for giving us your time. And actually, now is your time, the youth. As youth are actually comprising right now of 28% of our population. And what you think, what you say, how you voice your opinions matter to everyone. And with that note, we would like to hear from you. We are talking about Bangladesh 2.0, and we really know that technology is going to play a big part of that. In that, in that where we're saying we have to rebuild, reform, and reunite. So, how do you see uh, the legal, the legal digital landscape transforming and helping develop Bangladesh 2.0?
Thank you very much, ma'am, for having me on your show. It's one of my favorite shows that I watch religiously, and I'm very happy to be on stage with you. This is an incredible honor. So, to begin with, as you said, the youth comprises of a significant percentage of the population, and in fact, the digital landscape that we have in the country, at least 131 million people of this country has access to internet, and given that the 4G service is available to pretty much everywhere in the country, I think that kind of shows that we are in an era where we simply cannot ignore the digital landscape, and we simply cannot do anything without being attached to the digital platforms. Now that we're talking about Bangladesh 2.0, we all know how the digital landscape played a role into getting this Bangladesh 2.0. And in fact, this 2.0 situation, I think it's also a digital or a pretty modern scenario, or a pretty modern notion that we are using right now. So it sounds pretty digital to me, to be honest with you. And I think the youth has uh, significantly played their roles in different times, whether it was in terms of legal issues, whether in terms of digital issues, whether in terms of governance and democracy, so on and so forth. So youth in itself have their roles to play, and now that we have youth in every aspect of the country, in the government, as in the sort of positions where they make decisions, I think now is the time that we talk about law and technology, and how law and technology can work together to, as you said, that fill up the gaps that we have in the justice system. And I think this is an incredible time to talk about it, because we have so many vacuums that we have to fill up in the new Bangladesh. And this is, I think, incredible that we are talking about it, and I hope it contributes to the discussion.
You're exactly right, Darzi, because we can see how technology has transformed our lives, but we don't want to forget the challenges that it comes with. We have recently experienced the disinformation narrative attacks. They're increasingly prevalent, and that actually shapes the way people think. And as a young and individual, you have insightful thoughts and ideas, which is what I want to pick on today, because there we also see this being there you this generation being referred to as the Gen Z, and how they are doing everything with such ease, you know and the use of social media ha- has played actually quite an important role. They have kind of changed the demographics, and we have realized that having access to internet is actually almost one of the basic fundamental human right that we have seen a lot of intellectuals say that it can be one of the basic human rights that everybody should have. So considering the growth of internet and the smartphone users, like everybody has a smartphone, and we can see the huge penetration of internet, and not just in the urban areas, also in the rural areas. So what can we say that how does these digital platforms, how do you think they should behave in terms of economic activities and social interactions? What role do you think these digital platforms actually play? And all these digital platforms are basically a sort of one sort of technology.
So I think with the, as you said very rightly, that everything comes with its own challenges and opportunities. So does the digital landscape, especially given this disinformation economy, or the disinformation ecosystem that we will, I believe, talk about in the latter stage. But I think in terms of economic demonstration and economic contribution and the social interaction, I think internet, without internet we can't possibly do anything at all, because I have to use Uber, I have to use Food Panda, I have to use e-commerce. I saw in TBS today that by 2026 there will be the e-commerce platforms will be numbered double. So I think that's a huge contribution to the GDP that we have in the country. That is one point. The other point is in terms of social interactions. I think there are reports that are showing that because due to the digital issues, or due to the platforms being so accessible, there are loneliness, there are depression, there are so many issues that we're dealing with, divorces, and it's adding to the separation issue, so many other issues that we call socio-economic issues, or maybe social issues, familial issues. Those were in place before the digital landscape was so accessible, but I think it's increasing day by day, and we cannot deny the contribution of digital platforms into this. So I think digital landscape and the digital platforms that we have are sort of advantageous if only we can use it to the best of our benefits and very carefully, given you refer to us as Gen Z, and I have never been so proud of being a Gen Z, to be honest. But I think Gen Z people have very short span of attention. And I was just before this webinar, I was seeing a report that says that only 47 seconds is their attention span to something, to the single screen. It's very very less compared to how much of information that I have to check and fact check before I can identify something as a disinformation or a misinformation. So I think the Gen Z generation and the Gen Alpha, they are dynamic, they have they're fast, they're pretty much unpredictable, but at the same time, if they can use their skills and their intelligence into something good using the technology, I think that could create something legendary, such as the Bangladesh 2.0. Miss, I think you are muted.
Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for being so honest about, this Gen Z. And it is true that attention span, we have seen at least the analytics of these digital platforms show that the average attention span is few, not less than a minute, and but it can be a powerful tool for shaping public opinion and influencing political discourse. And it has been used to mobilize people, especially the used for political causes. So the rise of digital activism and online protests, like we have seen, like once a post goes viral before checking facts, before knowing it's true or not. I have experienced some. And we start sharing, we start posting it and start commenting on it. And but I also wonder, like, how is it also even possible to kind of find out whether a particular information or a particular a piece of image or news, or like these days we have videos, is whether it's the truth or whether it's been manipulated in some way. I mean, do you think it does get hard, or you think we don't even bother doing the fact check, we just share it?
So a lot of times, very unfortunately, we don't bother. We just want to share it because it's funny to us sometimes. I think we have to make a clear distinction, or make people aware of the distinction between misinformation and disinformation. Because misinformation, for instance, when I see a meme that's simply funny and nothing else, and so I laugh about it and I just let it go, it's harmless. But when I see a disinformation in the form of a meme and I share it, sometimes it can have an implication, a long-term implication that I probably wouldn't think when I was sharing. So my intention, I did that in good faith, and you did that in good faith. I just wanted you to laugh about it. But at the same time, it's creating a narrative that something like this might have happened or might happen. I just never know. And I seriously don't have the attention or the span to just go around and check whether it's true or not. In fact, for the blessing of technology, you see the Gen Z or the Gen Alpha, they're not really reliant on the mainstream media, and they're also not following any sort of news outlet. So what they do is they go for certain news outlet that do the crack news, I would call it. For example, the front page BD or the Nutshell Today. They have
Nutshell.
only one line. Yeah, they have only one line of the entire news. So when I see that as a Gen Z or maybe a Gen Alpha, because I have so many other things to do, I don't want to fact check or read the entire news, so I just share it. But I am missing the entire context. I'm missing so many details that might be instrumental to my understanding of that particular situation. So I think the only way disinformation and misinformation can be combated is to fact check. But I think fact checking also requires a lot of time and attention and sort of patience, which we probably don't have. So I think it then goes back to the authority that are giving me the information. For instance, the sources that I'm getting that information from, the pages that they're posting the information from, or at least Meta or the platforms that run these social media platforms. Probably they have a responsibility to flag. At least I know there are certain flagging facilities, but I'm not sure how far they work, because throughout this Bangladesh situation I haven't seen any flags, so I'm not sure how to react to that. So I think the authorities have a great role to play, and of course individually we have our own responsibilities to fact check. No matter how impatient I am, I should actually check something before sharing, because I never know what kind of impact it might have in the long run. So that's, I think, that's something that I think of misinformation and disinformation.
Again, you are absolutely right, because if I am asking, the youth to check before uh, sharing any information, but I am not, I don't have access to, there's no way, even if I make an effort, there's no guarantee that I will find out or get that information, even if somebody wants to do the fact check, because there is no authorized, data center or something that, go to this portal or use this tool, they will tell you that whether it's true or not. So even if what I say, I don't really blame the Gen Z, it's just that we didn't realize that there are going to be misuse so there are some people or bad actors who are going to take advantage of this particular platform to spread disinformation and create a social unrest or a socioeconomic crisis. It's actually they are aware that even if somebody wants to find out of or do for a fact finding, they will not find anything. So you are actually right. The government, or we should be making these digital platforms who are actually, allowing these news or memes or something to be portrayed or posted in their platform, to do this due diligence, take it on their end, because me or you as an individual, we don't have access to that kind of information.
Yes.
But as a platform owner, it is their responsibility to make sure that whatever is posted or viewed in their platform is authentic, is not a victim of propaganda, or is not something that will create political unrest, or create a chaos, or create a social economic crisis in the country. So because of this part, because there is no balance, it's just one individual between, and on the other side you have these big players, like these digital platform owners like Meta or Google or whoever you want to say, even if
Yeah.
it's in a Bangladeshi context, they have more access to do this fact finding. So the onus of this responsibility of ensuring, and removing anything that can create this kind of unrest, or play with the opinions of people or change people's opinion,
Yes.
or increase hate speech or hamper the freedom of speech, it should be removed
Yes.
immediately. There should be somebody monitoring all this, because they are the ones who have more access, and I think they are the ones who should be held responsible, not people like you who do belong in the Gen Z, whether you have an attention span of less than a minute or not. That is actually not um, my concern, because even me, with more span, perhaps attention span, it's not possible for me, because we are not privy to those kind of
Yes.
information. So that kind of leads me to the next question, that social media, we can see, in this way, uh, actually helps shaping public opinion. Like,
Yes.
we see something and we start, supporting that, and we start believing it, and we discuss that it is actually not possible for, people on the other side to do this kind of fact finding. So disinformation, I think, I want to elaborate on this uh, word, what it means. And actually, I want to start by simply saying what it says in Oxford Dictionary. Disinformation is basically false information, which is intended to mislead, especially propaganda issued by a government organization to a rival power or the media. So disinformation is a major concern, because as we see with the core definition of what this word means, the entire intention of this is to create false information and to make people opinion change due to that disinformation. And misinformation is like, I didn't know whether it was true or not, and I shared it anyways. I didn't have any intention behind it. But disinformation, I feel, has like a more intentional impact. Like, I intentionally want to put this false information, like knowingly that I know it's false, but I still want to share this and, like, make it viral and share it to the mass level with an intention and an ulterior motive to, have an impact on shaping public opinion. So, the youth are consuming a lot of information. And what do you think? How susceptible are they becoming to these type of fake news? And why do you think they're becoming this? They're just believing everything, like, disinformation and misinformation. They're how easily are they believing it, and why do you think they do it?
Well, it's concerning to see how easily they're believing everything they're seeing and not going for any fact checking or any sort of legal, standpoint. But I think it's also important to understand. I just saw in 2016, certain MIT study shows that spread lies 6 times faster than truth. It's fascinating for me because if I post something true and if you post something false, just because it's sketchy, it's easier for you to get more attention than I would do in my genuine post. So in terms of using social media, I think being aware of what's happening around us and being skeptical about everything is the key for me, at least I would say, or to my generation or to my at least friends and family. I would say be skeptical about everything you see. Don't just fall for anything and everything, because recently we've seen that people are using the template of certain news media, that the media that is praised for being neutral throughout the situation or throughout the government situation, and they're using the template, and then that news media is telling people that it's not us, by the way, you know what, we're just making it clear that we didn't post it. It can go beyond that. There is AI, there are chatbots, there are so many things that we didn't have before. Deep fakes, making. I can literally just make a voice note on your voice, and I can send it to your office people, and I can make them do something. So it's incredibly challenging and concerning. At the same time, it can be easily combated because when there's a problem, I'm sure that there is a solution as well. But I wouldn't say that the Gen Z and Gen Alpha are that much of, dumb people. I mean, they do certain fact checks, or maybe they are skeptical about certain things. But the problem is when this kind of situation arises, especially what we have seen in the past few weeks. The kind of situation is I don't have time for fact checking because everything is happening so rapidly. I just don't have the time to go and check whether something I'm seeing on social media, certain video I'm seeing on social media is true or not, because everything is happening so rapidly. So even if I have the intention to fact check, I probably wouldn't do that. Other than that, it's very easy to get famous or get viral or get interactions in your post by using certain hashtags. For example, I saw the Save Bangladeshi Students, All Eyes in Bangladesh, Step Down Hasina, certain hashtags that had immense interaction and people with absolutely no followers. Like I probably they just opened the Twitter for the first time and they posted something with that hashtag and they have thousands of interaction, and I'm like, what just happened? How did this just happen? Because and I'm posting something without any hashtags, I'm not getting any interaction. So it's crazy. You just have to know how to navigate that, and you have to be aware that this keeps happening. So I think it's our individual responsibility to be aware of how the social media, at least the meta awareness works. So every time we have our phone, we have to be meta aware. Now there is this new term because of this situation, meta aware. I think we have to be meta aware. That's all we can do for the time being.
Also, at this point, we have kind of seen some things that we never thought possible. And also at this point, at this juncture that we are today, I also believe that, we can, um, you know, there's no, I want to think positively, and I am actually a very positive person. So I feel like, it's just that sometimes I might do it, without putting even giving it 2 seconds to it. Um, because I feel like, what if it's true? I don't want to take a risk, you
Yeah.
know because even actually in the recent times, um, we hear something, like, it's because we have seen that, houses are being, there are lots of thieves, there are lots of robbers, they're coming to your house, they're coming to your place of business, and we actually don't know whether it's true or not. But one thing I've seen is, like, I hear something, I see something such suspicious. Before, what we would do is, like, if I see something suspicious, if I was on the road and if I see somebody beating somebody up, what I would do is, like, I would just run away. Like, most people would be like, no, no, let's not stop because we are going to get into trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of mindset has changed now. Now, if we see something, and now if I'm seeing, like, my neighbor, my neighboring house is being under attack, I will not lock myself in. What is happening is now people, I've seen this, like, unity amongst the community. Um, Now, when they see something or somebody else on the street, they're being attacked, which has nothing to do with them, they can just lock themselves up. But that has changed. Now they are actually coming out and trying to defend them and help them without thinking whether whether it's going to get me into trouble or not later on. So আমার এখন যেরকম মনে হয় যে আগে এই ইউনিটিটা উইদিন কমিউনিটি টা ছিল না, যেটা এখন অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি দেখছি, and I think that is what we need right now. Unity amongst ourselves. And because যেটা বললাম যে disinformation one of the more core reason is to change people's opinion, media opinion, to make them biased. And they create these narrative attacks. Narrative attacks is something that, you play your story in a such a way, একটা সেটকে এভাবে বলা হয় with a background, and, like, you want to think that there's a high possibility of this being true,
Yes.
but actually it's not true. You develop your story slowly, and then you put in the fake news, and then you kind of believe it. You start thinking that, then if এটা যদি fake, এটা কিভাবে fake হয়, because তার আগে তো এটা বলেছিল, ওটা কিভাবে fake হয় because তার আগে তো এটা বলেছে, so they start linking. So that this is a new way, this is a new way of crime. This is a new way of changing people's opinion and mind, playing with your mind with these separate individual narratives, which are actually played together by several players, sometimes at the same time, sometimes in different intervals. And when you hear the same type of thing from various different sources, you start believing it. Oh, I actually saw this in that different platform. Oh, it could be true because I actually saw Mr. XYZ, who's a famous person, also post this. I also saw this, famous particular media or something share this. So when these kind of information sometimes come from different sources, you start believing. But this was all a plan. It was a plan to narratively attack
Yes.
at the minds and changed the opinions of the people, and particularly because we said the youth, because mostly they are the users of social media platforms and internet, and that is probably an easy way to kind of influence people, and not just locally. It is also easy to have a global impact, because all we know, social media, and this kind of technology that are used by social media are accessible globally.
Yes.
And so, like I said, it's easier for these platforms to do these fact findings
Yes.
than a particular individual, whether you're in Bangladesh, whether you're somebody somewhere else. So I think it is really time to kind of have a regulation for social media if we really want to, have a safer digital use of digital platforms. Like I was saying the other day, I saw this post and I kind of really liked it. Digital dignity was a term that I heard, and I am trying to use it. What it means is basically, this is the hashtag that I want to promote: digital dignity. It means you should be respecting yourself. Before you even post, you should realize that you are leaving a digital footprint. Even after I die, this that is going to be there for the world to see.
Yes.
So there are a few things to ask yourself, like before posting, like, where did I get this information from? who posted it, how true is it, whether it's authentic or not. So these are the questions you should be asking yourself, and also whether if a family member or if my closed ones see this kind of post by me, would I be embarrassed about it, or would that make me feel good amongst my friends, amongst my colleagues? And these are the questions you want to ask yourself
Yes.
before posting. If because I know it's very difficult to kind of do this fact finding individually as an individual person, but if it's different for an organization. So these are the few things I think. Do you think we do this, or should we do something? Because digital dignity to me is simply like I should respect myself, which means I should be careful, ask these questions to myself before posting. I should be respecting others who are also posting online. So I really want to see more people, rooting for digital dignity in Bangladesh 2.0. And because at this point in time, I know where there are certain tools where if you put an URL, they will tell you in a second whether it's true or
Yes.
not. You put up a picture, it will tell you whether it's fake or not. We have seen the Eiffel Tower is burning.
Yes.
There was a huge chaos globally. Eiffel Tower is on fire. Oh my God. But there are tools now, and I want to mention this tool. It's called Blackbird AI. It's actually founded by two Bangladeshis, which makes me even prouder.
That's
That
amazing.
Blackbird AI has come up with this tool called Compass, and they have certain other tools which also can find out these narrative attacks, where they came from, and who were the originators, and
Okay.
what was the intention behind it. So, like I said, there are tools, but like I said, it's not these are tools that probably the government should have, or these platforms like these media people organizations, they should have those, so that if they and because they should be continuously monitoring what's being posted on their platforms. If they see something that doesn't look like that Eiffel Tower on fire, they should immediately use that tool to find out whether it's true or not, and then take an action based on that tool and remove it, or confirm it if somebody's asking a question saying how can this be, and also make other people aware that we have removed that post. There was a fake It was fake news.
Yes.
It was manipulated. It was the work of an bot. It was this Mr. XYZ, or you know some celebrity or a politician did not say these things, or did not support this particular kind of movement, was not carrying a gun, or was not carrying that country's flag or something. These were all the work of AI, and they were all manipulated, and there is no kind of authenticity in these kind of posts or news. So uh, what would your other suggestions be, to help us and protect us, and especially the youth? Or like I said, now it's just not the youth. We have seen technology, even smartphones, going all the way to the rural parts of Bangladesh. So what else do you think can be done, or should be done?
I think I really love the idea of digital dignity. It makes me feel good to think that I have certain digital dignity right now because I'm a digital person. I have a digital personality. I'm maintaining a profile, and I think I should be a dignified person so that at least my children or my family or my extended family would see what I did when I was alive, or how I sort of let my footprints on the digital platforms. One important aspect of it, what's happening right now, is especially after what happened a few days ago, I think there was a sort of a discern between the people as to whether the vandalisms to certain statues were right or wrong, and that's when there was a digital divide. I personally belong to the kind of people who say no, vandalism is not a way to move forward with the country, or it is not a way to celebrate. I don't like it. But when I say that, there are other people who are saying, oh, by the way, you're saying that there should be certain statues, so I think you don't belong to us, or you don't belong to the entire student community. So there are attacks, there are, that's, I think that is something, a narrative attack. I am literally not, I'm supporting everything you do except for the violence, because I don't want violence, and I don't support violence. So I think to establish this respect, that when I post something, I deserve to be respected for my opinions, and when you post something, you deserve to be respected for your opinions. Because I have certain opinions doesn't mean your opinions are wrong. And to have this mutual respect is something that I think we are largely missing, especially in the rural areas, because we've seen so many communal violences and so many posts I've seen on social media, even from international community, that are communally inflammatory. And it's bad, it's dangerous, it's something that destroys a nation. And the unity that we have had, I think, when I was not particularly physically present in the country when some of the things were happening, and I was seeing from the other part, and I was thinking there's nothing more beautiful than unity in this world. I mean, so united, everybody is on the ground, everybody is on the street, everybody, regardless of your religion, caste, creed, and color. But that is something that was divided after just we sort of started celebrating. So I think to be dignified as a person on the digital platform is also to show that I am respectful towards your rights, I am aware of your rights, and I am not going to harm you because I have certain philosophy, or I have certain mentality, or I have certain opinions, and it doesn't match yours. So I think being united is a way to combat those problems, and being united is possibly the most beautiful thing in the world, and that can change anything, and we are seeing it. So I think that should be something to promote, and I'm sure that digital dignity is something that will be promoted after everything that happened. I think this is a very important topic to talk about at this stage.
You're absolutely right, because I also just recently, like I said, I support this, and I was really happy myself, and because after everybody was a bit emotional, and I understand that, but after a few hours, it seemed a bit too much,
Yes.
uh, because at the end, it seemed like we were destroying our image globally.
Yes.
People were thinking like, what kind of what are these people doing? Which are just when they were thinking, what were saluting us globally, and all of a sudden,
Yes.
it was a narrative attack on
Yes.
us. Was it was done intentionally? It was framed in a way to put whatever was achieved in those few days to
Yes.
undermine that. So it was a planned narrative attack. And that did create a lot of unrest. But like I said, I salute the youth. They fought it the way they could do the best. They went on the ground with bare hands and started cleaning up that mess without pointing a finger, the whether
Yes.
we did it or whether who did it. It's because, like I said, even if they wanted to find out who was behind these narrative attacks or these and creating this disinformation, it is impossible for them to do so. So they did what they could do at that point in time, because, like I said, it was unity that changed that entire those people who planned these narrative attacks. It backfired on them, the way our youth responded, the way everybody from every sector, from every community responded, and it was and that there was a united approach. And another thing that I saw, like, even in the areas, every single area has, people have could not sleep at night, in fear of Iraq. And the community, some people in the community actually got united, saying that, while few of us can sleep in peace at home, while the rest of them were on the street, like, patrolling like crazy. And there was something really funny, and it was happening all over Dhaka city, like in Mirpur, in Mahmudpur, in Thanmundi, in Gulshan, in Bonani. for
Yeah.
some reason, there was an article saying that the people patrolling in their Land Cruisers in Bentley, and that was hilarious to a lot of people. People were being balked about, and that is what I really somehow it felt. I felt like I was being attacked, even though I did not go patrolling. A lot of my friends did, even though I don't own a Bentley. But why is it why am I name calling somebody because they own a Bentley? What is wrong? And
Right.
and it was going to that level, saying that those kids who are on the street with their showing off their cars, they probably got it from their father who probably belonged to the previous regime, and it's in such a negative way. And my thinking was, shouldn't you be proud? Because even if their father did belong to the previous regime, obviously this particular generation at least is losing their sleep out at the night, all night, when they probably didn't need to. They can probably afford 10 security guards. They don't need to go out and lose their sleep and protect their community, but they still did. What is wrong if they drove their cars? What is wrong if they were walking? What is wrong? Like, we are just moving away from the positive things and
Yeah.
just talking about negatives, which is always so easy for everyone. So that was something, like, this is something that I really wanted to, like, kind of comment, like, why are you talking about, oh, they were in a nice car, showing off their nice cars, but why are you not saying that, in spite of having a nice car, in spite of coming from a wealthy background, in spite of having enough financial capacity to have 10 security guards to protect their property, they decided to lose their sleep. They decided to go with the community. They decided to help the people. That was not portrayed or mentioned at all. I mean, this is something I think we need to work on. With digital dignity, we also need to think and be positive. I think we are very easily, um, it's very easy for us to find the negative and talk about the negative. But right now, I am actually forcing myself, and I'm actually telling all my friends, like, when they're saying what's going to happen, and I'm like, you know what? I am making a conscious effort to be positive about all this and push out any negative thinking that might come in my mind. I'm making a conscious effort to move that and only think positive. And when we start thinking in a positive way, positive things start happening. So, my request to the audiences, to the youth, to everyone actually, the journalists, and these intellectuals, and everybody who is part of this Bangladesh 2.0, let's be positive. If we don't have anything nice to say, let's not say at all. And because at least they're doing something. They did something. I know there are people who are also going out, um, giving snacks and foods to the students.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know these students are actually using their
Mm-hmm.
own money to restore, the damages that was due to the vandalism, which was again a part of, they were a victim of narrative attack and disinformation, which was shared amongst them to change their opinion. So that there could be an unrest. And I feel like this continuous fear that we were living in. Like I said, a lot of us, my parents are old, they are sleeping in peace because I told them, like, bunch of our friends are on the street. You don't have to worry. There are people in our houses that are sick. There are young children. So, like I said, this unity needs to be there. And my message to you and to everybody is, um, let's be positive. Whenever you hear something, whenever you see somebody doing something, um, try to shift your mind, even if it takes a conscious effort, and look at it in a positive manner. Like I said, instead of saying, "Oh, the elites of Gulshan Bonani, they were driving in their cars, in their, showing off their, which was probably not even earned by them, which was something that their parents have probably bought for them. Like, don't blame them for that. Why don't you, how about giving them credit for losing sleep and helping the other people sleep in peace? How about saying something nice? They're not going to get paid for that. They're not going to, they still have work the next morning. So
Yeah.
people are actually losing their sleep, giving their time and effort and energy. Why can't we appreciate that? And rather be like, oh, why did you come in a fancy car? I mean, as if it's a crime to own a fancy car. I mean, if you want to do something go, later on, you can probably check whether those were, you know, whether they're registered properly or not, or whatever, how they became owners of certain fancy cars. But why should a person be put down because they own a fancy car? I mean, it was just like it gives me it really kind of made me think that we have a long way to go. You know, we need to kind of respect people for the work they do, and and not put the other person down, which we are always so good at. We need to appreciate what's happening. Like I said, we appreciate, we salute the youth, we salute the students, we
Yeah.
salute those families who has actually supported these students, and we actually really felt bad, and we were all going through depression and anxiety with what was going on, and a lot of people were kind of, who probably were not as vocal, because now a lot of people are also showing some hate speech, that those who were quiet during that time now don't give me these lectures. Like I said, you were not here during that time, maybe that is why you were quiet. I mean, there are many reasons why somebody could be quiet or chose to be quiet. Maybe they could handle the situation. I actually stopped I deleted those apps from my phone because, uh, you know, it was giving me anxiety, and I was almost into depression. I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop watching. I actually don't want to know, because I couldn't sleep, and it was giving me severe anxiety. And I was talking to my friends, and a lot of them were going through the same thing. So let's be empathetic. Let's start practicing, respecting digital dignity. Let's start being kind and being positive. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about what's going to happen, how it's impossible, how, like, all those negative things, the negative vibes. And I am like, you know what? Um, where no A month ago nobody thought of Bangladesh 2.0, but it's here. It happened. So I am going to stick to the thing that anything is possible, and I am going to stick to being positive. And if you don't have anything positive to share with me, please don't share, because I am actually
Right.
going to be a very positive person, and only, uh, you know, give my trust in these institutions, and only promote the positives. And like I said, uh, we are going to be I want to discuss, like I said, the consequences of disinformation on society, politics, and economy, and how to combat it. And we have to promote digital literacy, and we have to make these digital platforms more accountable. And I think I also want to thank you, Dorothy, for your time, because you belong to this generation, and you are a student of law from BRAC University, and we know how respected institution that is, where you come from. And I have worked with you in various various times, and I see how you have this intention of taking Bangladesh and our flag and get international recognition. A lot. Maybe you can probably get the next Nobel Prize for all the work that you do. I can see it happening because I see your knack for research. We don't have anybody from law yet. Maybe you can be the first one. Uh,
No, it should be you.
it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. Anything is possible right now. Like, for me, anything is possible. So it is really a lot about the mindset, how you look at it. And my key message to our audience, to the viewers, to you, to the youth, to the nation, is going to be the same. That um, let's be mindful of each other. Let's stay united. And if I don't have anything nice to say, I rather be quiet. Yes, you might say that it's a democratic country now. I have the freedom of speech. If I don't like something, I can voice it out. Of course, you can voice it out, but you don't have to put anybody down to share your opinion. Do you know what I mean? There are ways to structure. Like I said, uh, I may not agree with you, but I don't have to name shame you. That I don't agree with her. She's this, she's that, she's like, I can just say I don't agree with this particular fact or opinion. I don't have to, uh, like I said, this hate speech, this which creates unrest, is something that is something that we need to work on. And I feel like it's so easy to give these kind of views, but honestly, I don't think I cannot change the world, okay, but I think I can change myself, the
Yes,
way I think, and the way I talk, the way I write a post, the way I show my disagreement, the way I show my difference of opinion. I can agree to disagree,
yes,
but it's
yes,
how you do it. So instead of blaming the world, blaming everyone, and asking everyone to change, I think change begins from yourself. Why don't you change
great.
first and
That's
then start other people? So with that, I want your views on, like, because I know you're not here, but what do you think? Again, I'm asking you because what do you think is, despite of these challenges, like, we, along with the entire world, agree that the youths are our agents of change, and it's not the first time. It has been happening again and again for us, and I think a lot, our youth has become an example for many countries, that what they can do. And it is important for every government to understand the mindset of the youth and how they consume these online content, and explore why it's actually them who are targeted. Um, and we need to identify these agents of disinformation who are actually spreading and countering misinformation. So, how do you think, in this complex interplay of technology, society, and politics in Bangladesh, do you think media literacy education can be a solution in addressing these challenges?
Of course, of course. I mean, media has a great role to play, and the literacy in terms of media would be greatly helpful. But at the same time, as you said, I think we have to sort of build our own moral standard. Where do I stand morally? Where do I stand ethically? And this doesn't have anything to do with law and rights and stuff. I mean, those are secondary, but primarily, as a person, when I go to bed in the night, I should be able to know that I didn't hurt anybody with my words today. Even if I disagreed with somebody, I just agreed to disagree, or maybe I just stayed quiet. So I think we have to practice that first and foremost. Second, of course, media literacy and digital literacy and so many other ways of making yourself aware of what is happening and how to combat certain things, how to address certain things. What are my rights? What are not my rights? When can I violate somebody else's rights? Can I express anything and everything because I have freedom of expression? What is the limit of my freedom of expression? This is some of the things that I think it's high time that we start learning. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with being a law student or being somebody from the law profession. You can I mean, I can give an example from my own family. My own brother, he was coming to me and he was asking, so what's the procedure for you to have a government when there is no government? I said, why don't you buy a constitution and just read it for yourself? It's not that hard. So I mean, and then he actually went to certain place and bought this pocket constitution, and he said, well, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna know what's going to happen, because it's just the basic that you need to know if you want to live in a country. So I think that is something everybody should practice, and it's coming up. I think from this protest and from this entire change that we are going through right now, I think people are being aware that you can't just sit back and wait for somebody to tell you what to do or tell you how you should act in certain situations. So people are being aware of a certain situation. They're taking things on their hands. They're taking leads, which is something I like. But at the same time, of course, we are pretty much in a vulnerable situation, and we will be for some time. So we should not be very happy about something, and we should be careful about celebrating as well, because in the name of celebration, we can't hurt anybody. We can't do something that actually diminishes everything that we achieved, that we are celebrating. So I think we should be aware and sort of composed in terms of expressing how we feel about the victory or the changes that we are going through. I think that's something very important. That would be my message to your viewers, actually.
Thank you, Tarazi. I think you have summed it up very nicely. And like I said, we really appreciate you sharing your views and giving us your time. So let's work together to build a Bangladesh 2.0, where unity needs to persist and all of us are responsible for equipping the young people with critical thinking skills, knowing what's right and wrong with digital literacy, and most importantly, we all need to know and practice responsible use of technology. And I think that is what will truly be a tagline that we should be promoting, like, ensure digital dignity. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Tarazi. I think maybe we have lost you at the last minute, but with that, we will end this show. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Do like and share, and do give comments and feedbacks if you have any. Take care.